Earth is a disgusting 30-year-old loser who picked the worst F-rank skills and became the most OP player in the game. In his real life he had a job and worked hard to earn money, but instead of trying to find a girl to clap he sat down at his desk to play a new virtual reality game. He thought he was an old loser and he even called himself an old geezer, but in the game he felt young again. He could do all sorts of amazing things that he couldn't do in real life. He decided to name his character Earth. And he made Earth look very ordinary and boring. He didn't want to stand out because he wasn't the type who wanted to be the main character. He couldn't play the game all day because he had to work and be responsible, so he could only play for a few hours every day. He worried that he might bother other players if he tried to play with them, so he mostly played by himself. When it came to choosing special abilities for Earth, he decided to pick skills that weren't very powerful. He chose things that weren't very good during the testing phase of the game. He did this so that the super serious gamers wouldn't pay much attention to him and he could play at his own pace. For example, he picked a skill called medicine, but it turned out to be pretty useless because he could easily buy healing potions from the game's non-player characters NPCs. He also chose a skill called kick, but it didn't have any fancy moves or special attacks, so he couldn't defeat enemies with just one kick. He even picked the skill of using a bow, but it had terrible accuracy. He tried the sneak skill, but it used up a lot of his character's magical power, and if he moved it was easy for enemies to spot him, so it wasn't great for running away from monsters. Lastly, he chose the skill for improved physical abilities, which was supposed to give a small bonus to running using weapons or crafting, but the bonus was really small. If someone wants to be strong, they should choose more special skills with these not so great skills. Earth might have made the worst character ever in any game, but he liked it that way. By picking underpowered skills, other players avoided him so he could relax and play the way he wanted. He finally entered a game called One More Free Life Online. It was called that because players could enjoy another life without needing to complete the final boss quest. They could spend their time fighting monsters, making cool stuff, or just hanging out and chatting with other players. It was a game for people who weren't too happy with their real lives. On the first day the game was released, the place was super crowded. A random girl called Earth over to sell him some equipment, but just then some heroes returned and Earth noticed there wasn't a single archer among them. Suddenly a guy dressed like a gold medal started making fun of Earth. Earth thought it was a terrible way to start his first day. The guy said bows were useless and called Earth weird, a dork, and a loser. He even made Earth lick the floor. Earth felt awful and the guy finally left. People don't seem to like archers, but Earth is totally cool with that. At the training hall, Earth gets all excited watching others practice, so he decides to give it a go. Sadly, the only thing he hits is the ground. He quickly figures out he can't shoot arrows well at all, but he's determined to get better. He keeps trying, but it's a real struggle. He ends up hitting everything except the target and realizes it's even worse than he thought. After 100 shots, Earth celebrates because he reaches level 5 and tries out his kicking skills, which have gotten stronger. He also tries his wind spell and finds it's more accurate than his arrows. With the basic skills he needs to survive, Earth decides to go out into the field, but it's a total mess with all the new players around. He figures he'll gather herbs, but he notices that players can't tell what the things they pick up are, so he tries to appraise them, but he fails a bunch of times. Eventually though, he levels up his medical skills. Then he sees that one of the herbs he picked is super dangerous. It can stop someone's breathing and kill them if they eat it. Earth is really mad that the game developers put this deadly herb in the starting area, but he's glad he learned how to appraise things. Next he buys a beginner's medicine crafting set and tries to make healing potions. Somehow he manages to make a common healing potion and he follows it up with a healing antidote. Then he discovered that once he made one thing, the game let him make a bunch of them. Earth remembered that people could buy potions really cheap from the game's non-player characters, so he thought maybe no one would want what he made, but his medicine skill reached level 7, so Earth decided to go hunting. Luckily there weren't as many players around, so he got the first chance at a beast. He knew that bows didn't shoot quickly, so that first shot was super important. He missed the target and the bunny got mad. Earth managed to shoot an arrow through the bunny's paw and gave it a knee to the tummy to finish it off. He kicked the bunny and it went flying. Earth realized he was more of a kicker than an archer. Just then 2 people showed up to say hi. There was a guy named Sway who could hardly stop laughing because the bunny had made a weird noise. He said something about humor being justice, which left Earth wondering if he was some kind of comedian. The girl's name was Millie, and they asked if they could send Earth friend requests. Sway got all excited when Earth said yes, talking about how they could become a top comedy duo. They left and Earth went back to getting more experience, but he soon realized that the bunnies were pretty smart. Even when he tried to sneak up on them, they noticed him. His wind spell was able to defeat one of the little bunnies, but he wanted to try out his sneak spell to sneak up on another one. It worked. Earth pointed out that even though his bow never seemed to hit the target, when he combined it with his sneak spell he became really strong. Earth logged off because he knew the super serious gamers would stay up all night playing, but he had to work in the morning the next day. Earth had had some terrible tasting bread for breakfast and decided to make his own food. He seasoned the steak to make it taste amazing, but he realized he didn't really know what he was doing. The first try tasted awful and he got a score of just 2. So he made some adjustments and the second time it tasted fantastic, but he wanted it to be even better. As he channeled his inner chef, the delicious smell attracted everyone nearby. Earth finished his dish and got a score of 7, but all the townspeople showed up demanding some. Earth didn't want to give it away for free, so he set a really high price, and he was surprised to see they were willing to pay. He spent the whole evening cooking, which raised his cooking level to 20, and he even learned a skill that made him cook much faster. Later Earth decided to make a bow. There wasn't much demand for bows, so archers had to make their own. His first bow was very basic, so it only got a score of 3 and an attack power of 4, but his next bow was a lot better. He used 3 pieces of wood and sanded down some parts so they fit together perfectly. It was a big improvement and had an attack power of 12. Finally Earth upgraded his super plane look with some cool armor. He checked his stats and was happily surprised by how much he'd improved, but oh, he was running low on money. So he put some food in a grape-flavored healing potion in a vending machine to see if anyone would buy them. After that we saw Earth making a ton of progress. He defeated some really tough beasts and it was way easier with his homemade bow and leveled up skills. When he got back to the vending machine he found a bunch of nice letters from people who loved his stuff. Everything was going better than he'd ever imagined, but oh no, things took a bad turn. A new system attacked them all and they had to hurry back to town. Everyone was in a big panic, looking for someone with the medicine skill and begging for potions. Earth was confused because he thought they could just buy potions from the game's NPCs, but Sway explained that the NPCs were saying they didn't have any. This was a problem for Earth because he knew everyone would beg him for the potions. He left in the vending machine without a second to rest. People started begging for potions, so Earth said they could only buy a limited amount and set a really high price. Surprisingly, everyone agreed to pay the high price without complaining. The nice notes on the vending machines turned into demands for Earth to hurry up, and his friends showed up to help. Sway handled the crowd and Millie offered to take care of the money. Earth ran out of potions, so the people decided to come back the next day, but then a really annoying shiny Wobbuffet appeared and demanded that Earth give him all the potions. Earth said no, so Wobuit threatened them. Earth finally stood up for himself and told the bully that the townspeople were the ones who really needed the potions. He told Wobuit to wait like everyone else, but the bully tried to pay him. Earth warned him not to do that because the game's NPCs might stop selling weapons and armor and they'd have to rely on crafters. The bully would have to learn how to get along with other players. The guy didn't want to hear it and challenged Earth to a fight. Sway warned Earth not to, but Earth wouldn't let someone boss others around, so he accepted the challenge and decided to use the bully's overconfidence to find a weak spot. Shiny Wobbuffet started with a powerful attack, but Earth dodged it easily. He found the guy's weak spot and shot an arrow right through his neck. Of course the bully was shocked and Earth was declared the winner. Earth was really humble about winning and promised to have more potions. The next day he logged off thinking his day had been a success, and he figured those bullies might quit the game. Several days passed after the incident with the missing potions, and the game had a big change. Earth saw that now knowing how to use medicine was important. People realized that even the NPCs could run out of stuff, and that's why they started thinking about learning medicine. Earth got back into the game and thanked Sway for inviting him to the guild. Sway introduced the other members of their team, starting with a big guy named Rage. He uses a one-handed axe and a shield. Instead he'd make the enemies come after him. Then a girl named Nora introduced herself. She said she's good at fighting up close with short swords, but she warned everyone not to call her flat or a cutting Bored or she wouldn't be friendly. The last person was Kmine and he was super good with a sword. Earth tried to introduce himself but they stopped him because everyone was talking about how strong he was. Earth didn't want to stand out because he had just shown a bully a lesson. Earth noticed that their team was kind of unbalanced with 4 melee fighters, 1 mage and an archer but Sway explained that Millie could use different kinds of magic and Nora could do healing magic. Sway said their first mission was to beat a wild bear. Everyone was excited and confident they could do it but Earth didn't know where all that confidence was coming from. Sway tells Earth that they're all depending on him to carry the team. Earth's like, wait, I've never seen a wild bear before. I heard they're super fast, smart and tough to beat. But Sway ignores his worries and promises Earth he'll cook something yummy once they're done. Excited, everyone heads out. But Earth isn't as thrilled. Then they spot some wild bears, but they're in a group so they pick one they can all gang up on. The others realize that Earth's long-distance vision skill is pretty handy and having him around is valuable. NLY buffs Sway and they plan to lure one of the bears away. Earth decides to use his sneak skill and shoots an arrow into the back of the bear's neck, but he didn't think about what to do when it gets mad. Thankfully Rage the tank jumps into to take the aggro. Earth explains that monsters have something called aggro which shows who they're mad at. Rage has high defense so he'll make the bear angry at him and protect everyone. Earth hides in some bushes to attack from a distance while Millie heals Rage and Nor joins in to do some damage to the group attacks, but they quickly figure out that the bear's skin is super tough. NLY tries a fire spell to get the bear's attention and it works, making Rage the target again. The fight is getting tough and Sway realizes he may have underestimated their opponent. Earth sees things going south and knows he has to make a quick decision. He trusts his risky bet. He aims between the bear's eyes thinking it's the weak spot. It seems like it worked, but it actually doesn't and they all wonder if they're done for. The bear has way too much HP. Earth goes for his last option. The others worry about his safety but Earth dives in and uses a spell he learned at Win Magic level 15. He gets super fast for 10 seconds and pushes his arrow deeper into the beast's skull. Millie follows up with a strong fire spell. Finally they defeat the beast and they realize the fight was way harder than they thought. Afterward Earth cooks for the group and everyone is amazed at how tasty it is. They wonder if it's expensive to make such good food. Earth explains that it's not. The only problem is that the recipes can't be bought because crafters have an unspoken rule not to trade them. One reason, recipes takes a lot of time and money. The second reason is even if 2 people have the same recipe the stuff they make might turn out really different. Recipes are like the hard work and creativity of the people who made them. You can copy the recipe but you can't copy the quality. Sway thinks Earth should always cook for them for cheap and everyone agrees even though Earth doesn't really want to, but they don't listen to him. They all ask to be friends and Earth's first adventure with a party goes well, but in the next scene something bad happens. Earth got too confident after beating a monster on his own and decided to go into the 5th area of the forest. He attacked an ant and it called its friends. Earth kept fighting but the ant could reflect damage. He couldn't move and he knew he was in trouble. Earth got a penalty for dying and was sent back to town. He admits it was his fault for being too sure of himself and decides he needs to do better next time. Then all players get a message about a big update called the Fairy Ball. It will have new skills and items for crafters plus fairies to help them in their adventures. Earth knows that other players will be leveling up too so he can't afford to get more penalties from dying later. We see that Earth worked hard to get rid of his heavy penalty and learned how to be a blacksmith. He doesn't want to make the same mistake again so he decides to make an arrowhead that can pierce through the tough ant skin. First he gets 2 types of iron. One is regular iron for piercing and the other is super pure iron for smashing.